Imagine this: a bustling cafe on a Monday morning, full of chatter and the aroma of fresh coffee. In walks a well-dressed black man, calm and confident, as he takes a seat to enjoy his drink. Moments later, two white police officers enter, sharing a laugh. But then things take an unexpected turn. They approach the man, pretending to arrest him, saying it's all a joke. The man stays composed, but there's something about his expression, a mix of patience and quiet authority, that suggests this isn't his first brush with assumptions. What the officers don't realize is that this isn't just any man. He's their new district attorney, someone who could soon hold their careers in his hands. The joke, it's about to be on them. Stay tuned to hear how this story unfolds. What happens next will leave you thinking about power, perception, and the surprising ways life can deliver justice. The cafe grew quiet as the officers continued their act, chuckling as they told the man to stand up and come quietly. Other customers watched with mixed reactions, some unsure if it was real, others awkwardly laughing along. The man, still calm, politely asked, "Is this supposed to be funny?" His voice carried a steady confidence that made even the officers pause for a moment. But they doubled down, saying, "Relax, it's just a joke," as one pretended to pull out handcuffs. The man raised an eyebrow, his calm demeanor unwavering. "Do you know who I am?" he asked, his tone still measured, but carrying a hint of something deeper. The officers, still unaware, smirked and replied, "Does it matter?" But little did they know, it did. Every eye in the cafe was on them, and the truth was just moments away from shattering their smug confidence. One of the cafe employees stepped forward hesitantly, trying to break the awkwardness. Officers, are you sure this is okay?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. The officers waved her off with a dismissive laugh, still caught up in their own amusement. Meanwhile, the man glanced around the room, taking in the expressions of the onlookers, some embarrassed, some stunned, and a few visibly uncomfortable. "Gentlemen," the man finally said, his voice steady but firm, "I'm giving you a chance to stop this right now." His words weren't loud, but the authority in his tone carried across the cafe. It was a warning, clear and undeniable, though the officers didn't seem to recognize it for what it was. Instead, one of them leaned in closer, smirking. "Oh, we're just having fun. You don't need to get so serious." But beneath their casual demeanor, something began to shift, a flicker of uncertainty. The man held their gaze, unblinking, as if waiting for them to realize the weight of their actions. The tension in the air was thick, and the truth they were about to uncover would change everything. The cafe was now dead silent, the playful mood long gone. The officers exchanged quick glances, their confidence beginning to crack under the man's unwavering composure. One of them finally asked, "All right, who are you supposed to be?" His tone was still dismissive, but there was a nervous edge creeping in. The man reached into his jacket pocket slowly, making sure every movement was deliberate. The officers tensed slightly, unsure of what was coming next. When he pulled out a small leather wallet and flipped it open, the room seemed to hold its breath. A golden badge gleamed in the light, accompanied by an official ID. "I'm the new district attorney for this county," he said calmly, his voice cutting through the tension like a knife. The color drained from the officers' faces as the weight of their actions began to sink in. The people in the cafe exchanged wide-eyed looks, a mixture of shock and realization spreading across the room. "You thought this was a joke," the man continued, his tone now sharper, "but I assure you, I don't find this funny at all." The officers stood frozen, their casual smirks replaced by a dawning panic. The power dynamic in the room had shifted entirely, and the moment of reckoning was fast approaching. The two younger officers looked at him, panicked. You know him." One of them stammered, their voices barely audible now. For a moment, it felt as if time had stopped. The officers' faces were pale, their laughter now a distant memory. But just as the tension seemed to peak, the cafe door swung open, and a third officer walked in, this one older, with a stern demeanor that silenced the entire room even further. He glanced around, taking in the scene, and his eyes landed on the man with the badge. "Mr. District Attorney," the older officer said, his voice careful and deliberate. "I didn't expect to see you here." There was a flicker of recognition in his tone, but also something else, concern. The older officer ignored the question and instead turned to the district attorney. "I think there's something you need to know, sir," he said quietly, leaning in as if to share a secret. Whatever he whispered made the district attorney's expression harden, his calm resolve now shadowed by something deeper, disbelief mixed with quiet fury. The stakes had just been raised, and whatever was unfolding, it wasn't over yet. Everyone in the room could feel it, the weight of what was coming next. The district attorney straightened, his face unreadable after the older officer's whisper. He nodded once and then turned to the two younger officers, who looked like they wanted to vanish into thin air. "You've just made a serious mistake," he said, his voice low but sharp. "And the consequences will go beyond an apology." Before either could respond, the older officer spoke up. "Actually, sir, there's something else they need to see." He reached into his own jacket and pulled out a small device, tapping a button. Suddenly, the faint sound of audio filled the room. It was a recording, capturing every word of the two officers' so-called joke, along with the nervous laughs and dismissive comments. The district attorney's expression darkened as the recording played. The two younger officers looked at each other, realizing this was no longer just about embarrassment. It was evidence. Clear, undeniable proof of their actions. As the recording ended, the district attorney took a step forward. "This isn't just about me. This is about the way you treat people, when you think no one's watching. But now, everyone is." Then, just as the officers stammered out a weak apology, the older officer added one final twist. "Oh, and by the way, the chief already knows. He's waiting for you back at the station." The room was silent as the two officers slowly turned to leave, their arrogance replaced with fear. The district attorney didn't watch them go. He simply looked around the cafe and addressed everyone. "This isn't just about a joke gone wrong. It's about accountability for all of us." The crowd erupted into quiet murmurs, the weight of the moment settling in. The district attorney walked out, his presence leaving a mark no one they would forget. As the district attorney stepped outside, the cool air seemed to match the clarity of the moment. Inside the cafe, people began to reflect on what they'd just witnessed. Some whispered about the courage it took for him to stand firm, while others grappled with the reality of what the two officers had done. It wasn't just about their actions, it was about the deeper issues they represented. The older officer followed the district attorney to his car. "I'm sorry about what happened in there," he said earnestly, "but I'm glad they got caught. Change starts with accountability." The district attorney nodded, his focus unwavering. "It's a start," he replied, "but there's still more to do." Driving away, he couldn't help but think about the lessons in that cafe, not just for the officers, but for everyone watching. Respect and justice shouldn't depend on appearances, and every action has consequences.